Hello. Thanks for clicking on this episode of Veritek, sporadically recorded ambitious reporting. Today, we're going to talk about Volk FI. So Volk FI, I just received an ad for it and thought it was very interesting. I've done a little bit of digging about it. Now, what you see right now is their homepage, where they are really kind of already shoving it down your throat that they're all about breaking the current layout of cellular data and carriers and cell phones. Obviously, their headline right there that keeps changing is no more contracts, no more carriers, no more data plans, and no more censorship. I would love to see them explain what they mean by no more censorship. Now, I've seen and I know about different ways that carriers and ISPs and whatnot can censor the data that you see. I just want to see them get a little more detailed in that argument. But to start things off, who is Volk FI? What are they trying to do? Now, the earliest I can see any activity from them is when they first uploaded their profile picture on Facebook, which was on February 7th of this year, 2019. So this is brand new, just coming out a little over a month ago, and it looks to me like it's gaining traction, but yeah. As far as I can tell, on Facebook, they are advertising only in the United States and Brazil. We'll try to keep an eye on that for you. But what are they trying to do? They're trying to build a peer-to-peer network for cell phones. And basically, your phone would connect to another phone, and down the chain somewhere, there's an exit node. This is sounding a little bit like Tor, the Onion router, and their anonymous network with different layers, different layers of encryption, so that you go through different nodes, and each node only knows, okay, it came from that node and it's going to this node, until you get to the exit node, which says, okay, we're going to check that out. And then it sends everything back through the same encryption path to the user. Now, I don't know anything about what encryption they might be using for this. It's peer-to-peer. It's just each peer is another node, and there's the end user somewhere in the network, not necessarily an entry node, but already immersed in the network. And somewhere along the line, there's an exit node that's going to connect to an outside ISP for data. So that's going to be a thing. Real quick, let's go look at the phone specs to start things off. I'm going to zoom this in for you, and that just jumped. Wow. Zoom this in for you, and first off, they've listed the display. The size of the display is a good 6.2 inches. That's a decent size for a phone. That's a phone size that I can go for. Resolution is a 1080 by 2280 pixels at 402 pixels per inch. So it's not 4K, but it's acceptable. You do not need 4K in a phone. It is this close to your face, and there's no point in 4K on such a small screen. The aspect ratio is 19 by 9. I can get behind that. I don't remember the aspect ratio on my phone. It's the LG G7 ThinQ. Pretty sure it's a 20 by 9. I'm not 100% sure. For sensors, it's got the fingerprint sensor, a Hall sensor, accelerometer, gyroscope, proximity sensor, RGB ambient light sensor, the electronic compass, and a sensor hub. So you might say this is a sensitive phone. As for ports, it's a USB-C. That's it. But that USB-C supports USB audio, and there's also a nano SIM slot. So this is a peer-to-peer network primarily, but it will support what they're labeling as legacy carriers. Basically the carriers we have today. I'm on Sprint. For a battery, it's a 3700 milliamp hour battery that is non-removable, and for me that's not enough. First off, a battery that small needs to be removable. Get a backup battery going, have that charge, get a charge dock somewhere for the extra battery, and hot swap it. Your phone dies, hot swap the battery, good to go. I did that with my G5 with great success. If it died, it was dead for 5 seconds. Um, the audio, it's got a bottom-facing speaker, so you are going to have cup syndrome. You're going to cup your hand around the bottom of the phone to bounce that audio back at your face so you can hear the damn thing. It's got 3 microphones with noise cancellation. It supports ANC with direct HD sound and direct power sound. As for vibration, it's got a O-haptic vibration motor. Connectivity is standard. You got LTE, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. But wait, there's Volk FI, their own peer-to-peer network. We'll get into that in a little bit. Scrolling back up, for the right-hand side, we've got the dimensions. As for the measurements, the dimensions and the weight, these are in metric. I'm not familiar with much metric. I'm American. This is my lot in life. I apologize. Anyway, it's 155.2 by 76.1 by 7.7 millimeters. That tells me it's a 7.7 millimeter thick phone, which is a fairly thin phone that I would love to feel in my hand. 155.2 millimeters tall. That tells me 15.5 centimeters tall. Excuse me. Which tells me roughly 7 or 8 inches tall. Which doesn't make sense with the 6.2 inch screen. 2.5. So no. 6 inches. Maybe 5.5 inches tall. They've got to be measuring that 6.2 diagonally. Yeah, 2.5 centimeters per inch and 15.5. So it's going to be around 6 inches. Sounds about right. The weight is 179 grams. I don't know how much a gram weighs by feel, but so I haven't even looked up anything about the ThinQ in a while. I don't remember how much it's said to weigh, and with a case on, this feels good. It's available in 2 colors, midnight black and snow white, and it's going to come with anodized aluminum and glass. Of course, glass. There's your screen. Aluminum, I'm not sure where that's going to be, but with black and white on the rest of the phone, I'm sure it's going to look fine. It's going to run Android, and the CPU is going to be a Snapdragon 845 octa-core up to 2.5 gigahertz, and it's going to run a GPU that is an Arduino 630. So this is sounding pretty par for the course for this day and age. For RAM, it's 4 gigabytes of low-power DDR4X. Okay. As for storage, you get a choice between 64 gigs or 256 gigs, and it uses a UFS 2.1 2-lane system. The camera, you get a dual 16 by 16 megapixel camera. You get 2 16 megapixel cameras laid next to each other that will fill out the screen together. They have auto HDR. It gives a 4K resolution at 30 frames per second video, and a 1080p resolution at 60 frames per second. So you've got a good choice there. It has an LED flash that's standard, and the aperture has a focal length of 1.7. So pretty standard specs going on there. For any other phone that's not a Volk FI. The Volk FI is a completely separate network. They're doing this specialty thing. I know they're going to put a extra little price point on it for the Volk FI network. Any other phone with these specs on a standard carrier, I would want a price around $250 to $300. Anyway, let's look at the way that it connects with this Volk FI network. So it's a distributed peer-to-peer network. Stay connected anywhere. Free access to the internet like never before. Resilient, unlike old networks that become slower, Volk FI will get faster with more users joining the network. And it's global coverage, so everywhere you go, if there are other users around, you've got network. So here's the thing. You travel with this phone to somewhere that's never heard of Volk FI. I'm assuming they plan on spreading as they go, but you go somewhere that's never heard of Volk FI, you're not gonna have any Volk FI network. And they're calling the phone Volk 1, just to be clear. You got Volk 1, the phone, and you've got Volk FI, the network. I wonder if the company is called Volk or Volk FI. Can't really tell. Anyway, connectivity. you connect through other devices on the Volk FI network. Peer-to-peer, direct to a phone. You can also hop. So if there's no Volk FI routers, we'll get onto the routers in a second. If the only path to get to someone who is outside of your own personal range is through other users, other phones, it's going to hop through those phones. And with enough devices around, crowdsource the internet. Done. They've got a little video here I'm going to skip. I don't feel like hitting any kind of copyright strike or anything for playing someone else's video. I'm using their website. I'm reporting on it. This is obvious fair use. I watch too much of that crap on YouTube. Unlimited asterisk data cap. Earlier we saw free with an asterisk. We're going to get there. It's all in the FAQ at the bottom of the page. Unlimited calls and SMS for $0, and there's a button to learn more. Now that button to learn more is going to take us to another page. I'm opening in a new tab because there's no real navigation off the page except for the back button or the logo at the top to come back to the home screen, the home page. Oh, so it remembers that I have found an invite code. Whoops. Alright, so it's asking for an invite code. Don't have an invite code, click here. What? Okay. I guess I need to clear my cookies. Basically, what I have found is registration to reserve your own phone is invite only. A $5 reservation fee, but invite only. Unfortunately, right now I can't pull up that page, but it just says, hey, it's invite only, here's why. But that here's why is a link that goes somewhere else. And it says you can look on our pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and see if you might find anyone that you know talking about us and maybe sharing their invite code. Or you can just make a post about us right now, and if any of your friends have it and haven't thought of you, that would spark them to give you their invite code. And it looks like each person that pays that $5 reservation fee gets their own code that can be used repeatedly, at least as far as I can tell, because I found a code posted publicly that worked just fine. I don't know if any of my friends have an invite code for this or not. So, all right. Now, scrolling down, we've got the 3700 milliamp hour battery mentioned again. I still feel like it's not enough, especially with the peer-to-peer network going on. If someone else is hopping through my phone to get to someone else or to get to a router somewhere else, then that's going to use some of my battery to send that data along. It's going to use some of my phone's battery, the 3700 milliamp hours that I have available to my all day, to help someone else get data. I'm not using my phone for that. So I feel like I need a little bit more than that if I'm going to make it through my day. I am a heavy phone user. There are times where I just cannot put my phone down. Anyway, especially with the battery not being removable, that's going to be a big thing for me. They say it's going to come with a beautiful AMOLED with a dual camera, so you can shoot video with this thing, and it's going to be beautiful. Obviously, this dog video is a dramatization, but I personally don't think I've used a phone with an AMOLED screen. I would look forward to it. Pure and unlocked Android, they don't put bloatware on the phone, and they won't delay updates. That's going to be a hard one to back up, because an update comes out, obviously there's something going on that they're putting on Android to make it work with the Volk FI network. They're going to have to adapt every update to that network to make it work before they can roll it out. There's going to be some minimal delay, but they're promising to push it out as quickly as they can. Stay connected, it goes where you go, peer-to-peer network. You are the network, you are the cell tower. we're back on specs. Now, there was, let's click this learn more. Nope, it takes us back to that. I'm missing a page. I'm missing some information that I have already seen that I want to share with you. And I think that it might be in this video.
This is Volk 1. Unlike other phones that need cell towers, Volk 1 is able to connect directly, and with more phones around, create a distributed network that can be used to send text, make calls, or access the internet. When Volk 1 is connected to the Wi-Fi, it contributes to the network by routing traffic for other Volk FI users. And when it's not connected, others will return the favor. Volk 1 comes with a free Volk FI router. It connects to the internet via Wi-Fi or Ethernet cable and has the same networking capabilities as the Volk 1. Together, they crowdsource the bandwidth and provide free service to everyone participating.
All right. So I had to mess around with some volume settings. I muted my audio system so I couldn't hear what was going on in the video. I've already watched the video, but I don't have my headphones on right now. I muted my audio system so it wouldn't echo through the mic. Now, it mentioned that Volk FI router. One gets shipped with every phone, and you know, that page that I'm missing is the link that says this is why it's invite only. It's like, if I didn't have that invite code, it would pull up this page saying, hey, it's invite only. Here's how you can find it. And there's also here's why it's invite only. And that takes you to a separate page that talks about the Volk FI router. But for some reason, it's not on this main page. So I'm going to scroll down to the FAQ. But first I'm going to talk about the Volk FI router. So one of these ships with every device. And a home user would plug it into their already existing router that they have from Comcast or Time Warner or AT&T, whoever they have internet through, their ISP. They're connecting the Volk FI router to their existing ISP router. So any data going through the network ends up going to the ISP or going to someone's ISP. Now it's peer-to-peer. You're never quite sure where the exit node is, but the exit node is that Wi-Fi router, or that Volk FI router. That Volk FI router can connect to a home Wi-Fi network or be Ethernet connected to whatever modem or router you have. Now, first, my question is bottlenecking. They say that with more users, the network's going to get faster, but that's going to depend on more users being within range of more Volk FI routers to share the load, to spread the love. If you have 20 different Volk FI users all in a small area, and only one of them, there's only one Volk FI router in the area because all these guys decided to get together and talk about their new Volk FI phones, but they're all huddled up on one Volk FI router. That's one data point to service all of them. How much bandwidth is this going to take? How much is it going to give to each of them? That's going to be a bottleneck right there. Now, standard day-to-day, if it's several miles, as they're claiming that they have technology to send the signal several miles from phone to phone and from phone to Volk FI router. So in a day-to-day scenario, it's a lot more plausible to have a few more Volk FI routers within range of a few more people. So then, does each device have back-end software saying, okay, this is the shortest route that'll give us the lowest latency, but there are so many people on it that it's going to slow us down, but we can also get much better speeds without losing too much for latency by going this other route to that Wi-Fi, that Volk FI router. That's something I would love to see. Um, and on that end, these exit nodes, these Volk FI routers are exit nodes connecting to someone else's ISP. Could be a business ISP for no data cap with extremely high speeds. That would be excellent. I would love to see Volk FI partner up with businesses and say, hey, plug this in and give people free data. Like, hey, we will pay you X amount each month to leave this plugged in, and we can make sure that it stays plugged in, but you're getting this much money every month. And that's going to build our network and make things so much better for your customers who are on our network. So it might also be in your interest to advertise us, because more people on your network, more people on our network visiting your place, they're getting a direct connection to this, which gives them internet. It's all kinds of... I'm not much for a marketing guy, but, sounds kind of solid there. But here's the thing. If I get a phone and they ship me a Volk FI router, I mean, they're going to have to send this router. If this is the gateway to the internet, they're going to have to send one with every phone. Because if I'm at home and I'm not in range of someone else because I'm not out and about, the only Volk FI router in range is the one that I have at my home. But then if I'm only a mile away from my house, I work less than a mile away from my house. So if I'm at work all day and someone comes within a couple miles of me but not a couple miles of my house, they're connecting to my phone, which then connects to my house, which gives them internet. That's how this peer-to-peer connection is going to work. So if they're connected to my phone and getting internet through my home, they don't necessarily know that, but what might they be doing? It seems like it's a totally anonymous network, which I'm all for. But if some anonymous person ends up going through my exit node and downloading things of illegal nature, will stay off the dark side of the web and stick to just pirating movies. I have Comcast for an ISP. So if Comcast tags me with this movie being downloaded that is then sent through the Volk FI node, Comcast really only sees me and this movie. So am I on the hook for someone else using the Volk FI network to download a movie illegally that happens to go through my exit node? Or is there going to be some kind of VPN on the overall scale that hides all of this from the ISPs? Because that's an interesting question. That's another thing that I really would need to know before I lay money into this. Now, another thing is ISPs often have data caps. Now, real quick, I'm going to click on something that I already have seen the answer to. Unlimited data, how is that possible on their own FAQ? So Volk FI counts data usage and bytes shared via Wi-Fi. So they'll count how much data you use and how many bytes you share via Wi-Fi. Every user gets the amount that they share, unlimited. So if I'm sharing, if I share 50 gigs, I'm getting 50 gigs, or I'm getting access to 50 gigs. If I share 100 gigs, I'm getting access to 100 gigs. Basically, every amount that I share through my Volk FI router, that someone else connects through my router to my Comcast account, every byte of that I'm getting when I'm out and about connecting through someone else's router. So if a Volk user consumes more data than they share in a month, there is a 5 gigabyte data cap. So if I share 2 gigs and I use 7, that's my cap. And beyond that, I'd be paying $1 per gig for additional data. The way this is structured, that sounds reasonable. Anywhere else, $1 per gig, the way that I use the way I use mobile data, I would not go for that. I pay for unlimited data. I use a lot of data. So now if I'm sharing a lot of data through my Volk FI router, how's this going to work with ISP data caps? With Comcast, I get a terabyte every month. The way I stream to Twitch, I stream videos through Netflix, I do a lot of stuff on the internet. I get very close to that terabyte every month. I don't see myself sharing a lot of Volk FI data. I mean, unless I can figure out a way to get rid of this data cap on Comcast, but I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening unless net neutrality comes back. I am very pissed off with the GPI. Still. Anyway, so that's another big question. Now, I have mentioned that it's invite only. You can look on their Facebook page, their Twitter page, their Instagram feed. Someone is sharing, some people are sharing their invite codes. You'll be able to find one. Just do some digging. I'm not going to share someone else's. I'm not going to promote their code. It's not the thing I'm going to do. Now, I mentioned earlier, looking at the specs for this, that I would price the phone at about $250 to $300. And I actually set that to myself in a previous recording before I found a code, before I saw the actual price. Now, this is the $5 reservation page, and in the parentheses it says $394 before shipping. Payment plans are available. So they want a total of $399 to get this phone. It's going to come with that Volk FI router, which honestly is probably a $10 piece of equipment, maybe $40 if they really packed it with like all of this. You have Wi-Fi and you can connect other things through it, but it's a little box that your phone connects to. Okay, maybe I'll give $25 to it, because they also made the damn thing a wireless charge pad for the Volk 1, which sounds pretty damn cool. So that's for the 64 gig variant. The 256 gig variant, they want another $100 on top of that for the extra storage. 128 plus 64, 188, 192 gigs for another $100. Got the display of black and white right there. So it looks like a clean design. The cameras are set up vertically, similar to the iPhone, and the flash is right there underneath them. I could dig this design. Only thing is, it's set up with all the buttons right there on the one side. I like my volume rocker being opposite my power button, my lock button. But that's just me. I could probably get used to that, but I like them being opposite. There's the notch, but everybody's got a notch these days. That doesn't look too intrusive right there. Honestly, the whole thing looks good to me. So, at this price point, I can't justify myself getting it. But I would love to hear anyone else's thoughts. The questions I've asked. If you have any other questions for them, I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts. Post them in the comments below. Tell me what you think about anything that I haven't touched on, which I actually haven't touched through their own FAQ. When will it be shipped? They're looking at December of 2019, end of this year. Does it work in my country? The answer is yes, if other people have Volk FI in the area. It depends on other people having this system. Can I make and receive calls from legacy phones? Yes. It will have a phone number. Basically, it sounds like it's going to be a VoIP, VoIP. And it's also going to support nano SIM cards, so carriers that we use today, I'm personally on Sprint. If it's supported by Volk FI, then you can use current carrier. So I don't see why Sprint wouldn't be supported. It's one of the big three. Anyway, how do I port my number? They support it in the US, and for other areas, email porting at volkfi.com. Do I need a SIM card? Not unless you're trying to use it on one of the supported carriers. Don't mesh networks require lots of devices? Yes. However, Volk 1 has new long-range radio hardware, so they claim. This means devices can be very far apart, and the network needs many fewer devices for great coverage. So this all sounds great. If you have a question that's not on the list, you can email contactplusweb@volkfi.com, or you can post it in the comment below this video, and I'll gladly email for you and try to make another video for you. So if you want to directly, go ahead and email them. If you'd love to see me reporting on this again, post it in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Anyway, I really do want to hear what you guys think about this. I am very interested in getting one of these. I just can't justify spending that much on figuring something like this out, especially if it's not going to ship till the end of the year. But this looks really interesting. This whole peer-to-peer network is something I've seen tried before, something I've been very interested. I've even wanted to make something like it. I really want to see something like this take off. I would love to see Volk FI take off. But the other things that I've seen trying this haven't really worked out. So I don't know what to think. I'm hopeful. I'm skeptical. I'm Veritek, signing off.